Welcome to the state of PA football as PA Football News presents its weekly look at high school football across the state.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in.
Did you know there are 555 total high school football programs in the state? Did you also know there are a total of 58 college programs ranging from D1 to D3 in the state of Pennsylvania? Whether you're a bulldog, a lion, a crusader, an eagle, or a millionaire, we got you covered.
You already know. Turn that to base, let my money show. I've got these things that I can't let go. Watch me turn this life into something that you can never own. So fight and die.
Here at PA Football News, we got you covered. And now, your host, Billy Splain.
All right, before we get you guys in on a little thing here, our brackets are brought to you by NFHS Network. If you can't make it to the big game, stream it live on NFHS Network. CoachCom with Cobalt Plus, the all-in-one communication system. CoachCom, your leader in on-field communications. SaferSports.com, creating safer helmet covers to keep our kids safe on the field. All of our brackets are powered by Circle W Sports. Now let's get on to the show. Hey, welcome to the State of PA Football, our second playoff edition. This week, we get to really talk playoffs because there are very few buys and everybody's in, including the big boys in 6A. But we're going to get that in a little bit. Over here, we've got Willie. Everybody knows me in District 1, McGonigal. Down below me, right there. Wait, I go like this right there. That's the J-Man, Jared Samuel. He's up in District 2, but he knows a lot about a lot. And over here, there it is, right there. In the corner, that's Traveling Matt. Traveling Matt goes everywhere. We're going to break down the brackets. We're going to talk about playoffs. We're going to talk about what happened last week. We're going to talk about what's going on this week. All at the same time, we're going to break it down like this. We're going to go just like state championships. We're going to talk about 1A. Then we're going to talk about 4A. Then we're going to talk about 2A and 5A. And then we're going to talk about 3A and 6A. We're going to break it down like that. Right now, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in to CWTAP and PA Football News for the state of PA football. We're excited. Guys, what a weekend. No surprises, really, this past weekend. I guess the only surprise would be up in Jared's territory where Scranton Prep just totally dismantled Wyoming area.
We had 3 5-5 teams advance. We did out of our district. And honestly, and none of them were really a surprise, but I mean, I've not seen Wyoming area get beat like that in a long time.
Since 2012, it's been that long, Willie. That long since we won't be mentioning the words Hawks in the state championship games.
But think about when you put it in that perspective, that is such a long time, and it's incredible to think that not only did I'm going to go back before Tim Rogan, Gabe Infante, and for them to be able to sustain that for that such a long period was such a great accomplishment for them. But like the pop was saying, everything must come to an end. And last week we did see just that. We saw the end of the prep one.
Everything must have come to an end, but endings mean new beginnings, kind of like Southern Columbia, right, Matt?
Yeah, they're rocking and rolling again, and we're, no offense to the teams they're playing this week, and the same for Troy, but we'll talk about it in 2A, but it's looking like an absolute collision course in the cornfield in Ellisburg in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is. And like, folks, that's it. Like, there are no other surprises like right now. I can't come up with one single like brain busting surprise, especially in any class. I mean, Aliquippa won. That's not a surprise. But they're back. Clareton's back. Canavan's back. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about the 1A bracket. Let's go out west on the 1A bracket and let's talk about Fort Cherry plays Neshannock this week. Laurel plays Charters Houston. Clareton plays Jeanette. And Canavan plays Fraser. Who's got? I mean, for me, I got to pick Fort Cherry. I know Neshannock has a very good sized line, but they don't have an answer for Matt Senior.
Yeah, I mean, this is a time of year where like teams that don't have state aspirations, the goal for most teams is a district championship, and that's reasonable for a lot of teams. So you don't want to lose sight of that. We kind of operate sometimes on like a state level where we're like, oh, that team's good, not great. But when you're talking about districts, we're looking for district championships for most teams. That's the goal. So, who's going to get that in District 7? It looks like it's between Clareton and Fort Cherry, but who knows? We'll see what happens Friday night and go from there.
Yeah, Jeanette, it took Jeanette a while to get rolling on Friday night, but eventually they did, and they got the win. But they now have to play Clareton, which the first time those two met was not a pretty it wasn't a pretty outcome. But I will say this though, Laurel is a good solid team. Charters Houston is a nice program. That's a good feel good story, but the Canavan Fraser game, Canavan's going to come out. I believe Canavan's going to come out of that game, and then Canavan and Clareton are going to match heads, and I think this is going to be more of a game than a lot of people think.
I think what you got to do is, if you're going to look a week ahead and say that matchup's going to happen, is put yourself in the shoes of those kids. So that Canavan Clareton game is for the right to play at Acrisure Stadium where the Steelers play. So imagine how excited you are as a 15 to 18-year-old kid. There's a lot on the line, obviously, and Clareton's the big dog in that game. But imagine you're a 15 to 18-year-old kid and you're playing for the right to play where the Steelers play. Like, that's pretty special stuff.
That's gotta be something great. And I would seeing the Steelers do that make me wish that down here in Philly, the Eagles would offer the link for District 12 or District 1 to use that game for their games.
Yeah. So
I think it's experience out there too, Billy. Right? I think what we've been saying is teams have been there. Right? Like how many times have we seen Fort Cherry now? Right? Advance far. This is experience now. Now it gets down to the teams that have played at this level of playoffs at this point and moving forward, right? I think Matt, you were kind of saying that too, but that's kind of where it's at.
It also depends a lot, I believe, on the talent. And Minikin Johnson just got an offer from Penn State from Bishop Canavan. Got to see him down in York, PA. Real good player. Hopefully he's improved from what I've seen. But so I mean, like a lot of athletes on the field. Clareton has some athletes on the field, so it's going to be an interesting bracket. I'm not going to go out. I'm going to go out on a limb. And, I'm going to agree with Matt. I think Clareton and Fort Cherry are the favorites to meet up at Acrisure Stadium, so that's going to be fun. Down in the bottom side of the bracket, we have Wilmington playing Cambridge Springs, Greenville, Reynolds, Port Allegheny and Keystone, Red Bank Valley, and Union AC Valley. 2 years ago, this was a battle. This was Port Allegheny and Red Bank Valley, and you were like waiting to see who came out of that 2 or 3 years ago because Red Bank Valley was the deal. But I would have to say Port is the first team. They're coming off a bye, though. I mean, so you don't either they're going to come in, they're going to be healthy and happy, or they're going to come in like flat because they had a bye. I think Union and AC Valley is the better of those teams with Red Bank. Wilmington, I believe, is on a collision course with Port Allegheny.
Yeah, and that's going to be all about Aiden Bliss, right? So they always say like speed doesn't have a slump. Well, neither does Aiden Bliss. Like he's going to touch the ball 50 times, and you're either going to stop him or you're not. And last year it didn't happen until the state finals. So um, it's all going to come down to how well the Gators run the ball. They're not going to throw the ball, and they're going to line them up and smash some heads for 4 quarters.
Yeah, and that's how it's going to go. Reynolds is a nice team. Greenville's a nice team. Wilmington, I mentioned this last week. They've got a stable of running backs that can carry the ball and go as well. Port Allegheny, on the other hand, like you said, Aiden Bliss, and we're going to bring it up again. This is when athletes stand out, and Aiden Bliss just got his first college football offer. I think Clarion offered him the other day. So you're starting to see this come out, and this is when those seniors hang out. Port Allegheny, I believe, is on a collision course with Wilmington. Let's take a look at the other side of the bracket there. Let me look at it. You got Guilfoyle playing Homer Center. A couple of years ago, this was a state champ or a District 6 championship game in the snow. The first half, it was beautiful. The second half, there was 3 inches of snow by the end of halftime. We had 3 inches of snow in 25 minutes. It was crazy. I remember my wife and my daughter were out shopping, and they were like, they're like, how do I get back? And then you got Juniata Valley and Claysburg Kimmel on the bottom half of that bracket. Myersdale and Conemaugh Township, Westinghouse is just sitting there waiting for them. Westinghouse has been off for 2 weeks now. If I'm Westinghouse, I'm not comfortable.
I'd rather be playing. You got to go through the motion, and I think you forget what it's like to hit other kids, you forget. So yes, absolutely. I've been thinking about that all week. I'm watching Westinghouse, and I'm saying that's an unenviable position. You don't want to be there.
That's too long of a layoff because the only way you can really simulate a game would possibly be in a squad scrimmage game, but then you put at risk your own health in that game.
Well, there's only one problem with that. Really, Westinghouse only has 18 players, so they can't possibly do an in-house scrimmage even unless they put some adults on the field. So that makes it tough too. Myersdale coming in hot. They're coming in very hot. I think Myersdale has a real shot at upsetting Westinghouse. I watched some film the other day. They got some speed and some athleticism at Myersdale. They do have a shot. Now, is that going to happen? I'm not going to say. I don't know. I will say this: Juniata Valley is going to be in a battle with Claysburg Kimmel. I think that's going to be a really good football game. I think Juniata Valley Coach Mustard always does a great job. He has his kids prepared. They've got a couple of athletes that do very well. Claysburg Kimmel, on the other hand, is their quarterback. As their quarterback goes, Mason Kimmel, so does Claysburg third. So does Claysburg Kimmel. He's a great football player and does things. Bishop Guilfoyle, on the other hand, I don't think you're going to have too much of a problem with Homer Center, but I could be wrong. That was a classic. Homer Center actually won that game and ended up going to the state championship, but they ran into a buzzsaw. And I think Matt was there for that buzzsaw.
Yeah, and that, like you said earlier in the beginning of the show, we're starting to get into that point where matchups matter, and it's not like a 1-8 or a 2-7. You start seeing some different things, and I won't call them upsets or on the horizon, but there's going to be some teams with some seasons ended before they thought this week.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and I don't disagree, but Guilfoyle may not be one of them. Bottom half of that bracket: York Catholic and DeLone Catholic, Morrisville, Belmont Charter, Lion Mountain and Montgomery, Lac Trail and Tri-Valley. York Catholic, DeLone Catholic, both teams are struggling this year. They're not the strong teams that they usually are, coming in at 5-4 and 4-5. On the other side of that bracket, you've got Morrisville and Belmont Charter. Now, Morrisville's banking on a running back who is the brother of the running back last year that broke all kind of records for
Howman, yep. And they're also doing it with a first-year head coach in Corey Keene. Congrats to him on picking up right where they left where the previous regime left off, but now they got a tough challenge this weekend. A Belmont Charlotte team that I know we, in doing our language meeting, we've had several conversations about how dangerous they are with their athletes, and it's looking like it's gonna be another great battle. This year, once again, Morrisville has home field advantage for it, but I don't think that's gonna matter. I think Belmont Charlotte is gonna come out victorious in this one.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to matter or not, but this year they travel, and they're probably traveling to Lackawanna Trail.
Mm.
Tri Valley, they were a huge 3-0 winner over Marion Catholic this week. We featured their field goal on our on the view from the sidelines last night and this morning on PA Football News. So I hope you check that out. So his field goal was featured. It was a 58. If you're gonna win and the game's gonna be 3-0, it might as well be a 50-yard field goal, right?
No doubt about it.
So yeah,
Kick.
Lackawanna Trail just absolutely smoked the Tiffany this past weekend.
Let me just give you this from that game. So their running back, Isaac Ryan, he is unbelievable. He had 10 carries in the game for 217 yards. He had 10 carries. 6 of them were touchdowns. I mean, I don't know what else to say. The kid he's dominant. So we'll see.
That's pretty good average.
Yes, it is.
Liking that. Yeah. So that's the 1A bracket. We took our guesses last week as to who's going to go there, and I don't think anything changes in 1A because I don't think the players have changed really that much in 1A. I think we're seeing exactly what we thought we'd see last week. As a matter of fact, in our rankings, I think the only reason we had someone fall in the rankings is because they played another ranked team this week. So kudos to our guys for that. So let's just move right on. Let's book it up. Let's talk about 4A. Let me bring the bracket up here, the 4A bracket. All right. And as I said last week, the party's over. Okay. No more rest, no more breaks. You got a game this Friday night or Saturday, and you're going to play. Unless your name is Oil City, you don't have a game this week. They're the only ones, I believe, with a bye this week. So the Eastern bracket, Susquehanna Township, Elko. Then you got Wyomissing, Lampeter Strasburg. Last year, that was a game that everybody wanted to attend. West York and hey, look at this Middletown area. They've come like out of the grave. They were left for dead a couple of years ago, and there's Middletown playing for in a playoff spot. And then Twin Valley and West Perry. If I had to pick a game out of all 4 of those to go to, I would probably go to the West York Middletown area game. Unfortunately, I'm not going to. I already chose, and I'm going to a single A game I didn't mention earlier. I'm going to the Line Mountain Montgomery game.
That should be a good one too.
That's
I think so.
A great one.
Yeah, West York throws the ball around a lot. Middletown area, I don't know a whole lot about Middletown, I'm being honest. They were a close winner over East York, 21-19 last week. But what a great season West York is having this year. The winner of that game gets Twin Valley and West Perry. West Perry, always competitive in District 3, but Twin Valley's the team, right, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, West Perry's been pretty nice squad for quite a few years now, but unfortunately the Mustangs run into Twin Valley and Coach Myers and probably a little bit too much for West Perry this year. But not to say they didn't have a great season. We'll see how it plays out this week. Twin Valley seems like they're on a crash course to play Wyomissing again in the district final. And then we'll see where they can go from there. Surprising Twin Valley team this year, though. We kind of didn't think they were going to bounce back, like, with losing their quarterback and a bunch of other talent. And they are right back in it. And kudos to Coach Myers. Like, that guy knows what's up.
Yeah, he's been to the state championship a couple of times, right?
Twice with
He knows how to
Middletown.
get there.
Yeah.
That's right, with Middletown area. And that's what I was going to bring up. So we've got Coach Myers and Middletown area on the same bracket. I wonder how that's going to play out next week if Middletown
That's a
does
heck
get
of a
that win.
story. That's a heck of a story right
That'd be a
there.
great story. I will make sure I try to get to that one if that happens. That'd be interesting. Middletown at 6-5. I don't know if they can stick with the air power. The other side of that bracket, why I'm missing the Lampeter Strasburg last year. That was a game. That was a no miss. You have to be there. Matt and I were there for that game, Lampeter Strasburg. And why I'm missing this year, it seems like Lampeter is right there in the top three with why I'm missing in Twin Valley, but not quite on the same level. Why I'm missing with Justin Hardy is that they're running wild all over most of the teams. Now, I will say I saw them play Twin Valley, and it's hard to judge because just like we saw in the Lampeter Strasburg game last year, are they putting all their cards on the table? Are they going 240 or not?
Yeah, I don't think Coach Wolfram's given up any games ever. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure he held anything back in that game against Twin Valley. But as for Lampeter, very tough to replace quarterback Caleb House. He was dynamic last year, and I gotta believe it's why I'm missing in Twin Valley for that D3 championship again.
Which is going to be a great matchup. And then you got Susquehanna Township and Elko. So don't count out Susquehanna Township with all their athletes and Torrin Evans.
He's super talented, and they got a bunch of kids around him too. I was there on senior night a few weeks ago, and they are definitely senior heavy team. So this is their year, right? So
That's
if
right.
they're going to do it, they're going to do it. This is when it's going to happen for Susquehanna Township.
What's amazing is 3 years ago, and I was at their fourth game of the year. They were playing actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were playing Elko, and they were in the middle of a 17-game losing streak just a couple of years ago, and here they are undefeated with a chance to play for a district championship. So great job to Coach Eden, just a fantastic guy, and he put together a nice team this year. I'm sorry. So on the other end, you got Punxsutawney and Clearfield. Oil City's waiting for the winner of that game, and then I think this is a monster matchup. I think TJ might be back. They're healthy. McKeesport. It's hard to beat a team twice. And then you got Aliquippa and Newcastle. I don't even know what to think of that game. Aliquippa without their starting quarterback. He went down 2 weeks ago, and Newcastle has just been plowing along. And that's a team that I've mentioned a couple of times in the rankings, and AJ shoots me down. So we got to listen to our Whippio guys. Up in the top half, I'll go with that one. Clearfield and Punxsutawney. I'm going to go with Punxsutawney on this one, although this is going to be a really good game. And I think Pro Time's going to be at that game. So he's going to cover that one. I think that's going to be a slobber knocker of a game up in north central Pennsylvania. Matt, I'm going to let you talk about McKeesport and Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, super dangerous week for McKeesport. The first time around they played and Come On Spell didn't play. So you can't that's apples and oranges in terms of comparing what's going to happen this week. But I've been on McKeesport all year. I even said in our Sunday rankings meetings, I think they're the best team in the state. And I'm nervous for this game against TJ because TJ is always good. Coach Sherpack's always got him prepared and ready to go. And then if they get through that game, you're waiting on a Quip team that's never going to go down easily, or maybe a Newcastle team that breaks through. So I got to believe McKeesport wins this game, assuming they're completely healthy. And then we'll see what happens. I guess they're playing at Pine Richland, right, for the 4A district final. So they don't get the benefit of going to Acrisure. But give me McKeesport in this one.
Yeah, the the whole Newcastle thing has me perplexed. I'm like, and that's got to be a huge game. I mean, they're not far from each other up there, Aliquippa and Newcastle. So I mean, like it worked out good for them guys. That it's almost like a rivalry up that way, Newcastle and Aliquippa. So it should be interesting. It's going to be a great bracket. It really is to see who gets to play the winner of Punxsutawney and Clearfield versus Oil City. Um, Over on the other side of the bracket, let's go over to Southeastern PA, Southern Lehigh playing Blue Mountain. And then we got the Holy War, Bethlehem Catholic, Allentown Central Catholic. Then you got Juniata and Bellefonte, which is basically to me a consolation prize. I mean, both teams are almost automatically in. I mean, and then the big one, Shamokin and Jersey Shore. I'm going to start with Southern Lehigh and Blue Mountain. Southern Lehigh, no problems last week, 56-0 over a 0-10 banger team. So they should have won that game handily. And then Blue Mountain, very, very, very good in their defeat of Lehigh. I think Southern Lehigh comes out of that one. Just too many horses, too many athletes.
I would
Yeah.
agree with you. Having seen Blue Mountain, I think they're pretty good, but I don't think they're Southern Lehigh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Colton Sams is going to do what he does. Sean Stecker just going to do what he does. And I got to believe, like Jared said, that Southern Lehigh is moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Holy War, Bethlehem Catholic and Allentown Central Catholic. Anytime these two teams get together, they could be 0-10 and 0-10. It wouldn't matter. And what's crazy about this game is we talked about Allentown Central Catholic way back in the beginning of the season, and we said if they can make it through that juggernaut of a schedule that they play with all those 6A teams, by the way, 3 of them are still ranked, Easton and Parkland. If they can make it through, they might make some noise in the playoffs. And here they are coming off of a win over Jim Thorpe 52-21, and you got Becca High coming in off a 28-14 win over the Crimson Tide in Pottsville. I think Allentown Central Catholic advances, and that might be a huge, huge game down in Southern Lehigh and ACC. I think
I
Becca's
just got to believe these teams got to be so tired of playing each other. You know, in District 11, like I've been to plenty of those games in Bethlehem, and it seems like they play each other every single week. They're all great games every week. You know, all those teams they just beat on each other all season long, and they're like, okay, who survived? Is it ACC or Becca?
I know, it's crazy, isn't it? And then down the other half of that bracket, Juniata and Bellefonte. Juniata coming off, they're sitting on a bye. Bellefonte played Johnstown and beat them for the second time in 3 weeks. Juniata at 6-4, Bellefonte at 5-6. This is almost like a consolation prize round. Bellefonte, Johnstown, and I forget who the other 4. I think it's Du Bois is the other 4A team in that bracket, and that's it. There's nobody else. So like one of those teams is going to make it, and Juniata just sitting there in the District 6 bracket gets in by default. I still say Juniata, State College, and Altoona should go through District 3. That's, Juniata, you play a District 3 schedule. Why not? Why not just go District 3? And you live, and you're down there. You're right there. I mean, like literally right there. And then Juniata has one stud, catches the ball a lot. Bellefonte has Aiden Howell, and I mean, they've played good this year, but this game is nothing like the one on the other side of that bracket, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's on the short list of games maybe I might go to this week, and it just doesn't matter. Like, it's kind of like the Mount Carmel Shamokin game. Like, throw the records out. It's just going to be an amazing atmosphere, and everybody knows what's on the line. Like, I don't think anybody's going into this game thinking Shamokin's going to win by 4 touchdowns. It's going to go to overtime again. You know it's going to happen, and one of these two teams is going to advance in a very difficult 4A bracket.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Bottom half of that bracket, Willie, you got PJP and Shanahan in a rematch.
Well, that's actually the game that I'm going to this week. I'm looking very forward to it. Bishop Shanahan has an incredible quarterback in Anthony Aquila, who can do it all. I've seen if it, throw the ball, take off on runs. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Pope John Paul does to stop him this week. After talking with people that saw the first game and watching the first game earlier today, Aquila was giving Pope John Paul defense fits all night in that game. And what the difference was Shanahan turned the ball over 3 times, and that's what cost them the game last time. Let's see what I'm interested to see what happens for them. I mean, in this game, Pope John Paul has a great balance of young up and talent comers and senior leadership teams players back that have been part of the Golden Panthers' success. So, but looking at the stats, the quarterback, and the top DJ Dozer, and the top running back are both sophomores. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in this game.
Winner of that game is probably going to play North Pocono, right, Jared?
Yeah, I think so. I think Dallas got where they got a little
Not
bit
so
early.
fast.
Yeah, they got there a little bit early.
What about when Dallas played McDevitt, huh?
Yeah, the problem in this one is Dallas is just a bit undersized, and they've got a lot of sophomores. I mean, a ton of sophomores, and I mean, we know Coach Rich Manello. We all know what that guy does. He gets it done. But it's been hard to try to meld these 3 classes. I mean, if you combine their senior and junior class, it's still smaller than their entire sophomore class that they have on that team. It's just crazy. They're surprising. They're peaking at the right time. I just don't think they can overcome. I mean, they lost badly up at North Pocono already this year, and North Pocono's rolling. Their defense is so good. So I would think North Pocono probably advances out of that one.
Bottom and a half is kind of a mystery, and that's only because we know Cardinal Hera is playing Bonner Prinny, right, Willie?
Yes, but we don't know. We don't know who.
You don't know who's playing on the other end of the bracket yet, because District 12 is just completely lost. So explain that out a little bit, Willie. What are we waiting for there?
Pretty much, my understanding is we're waiting to see if the public league allows West Philadelphia to compete in the state playoffs, because they did not participate in the public league playoffs. So it's going to be interesting to see. And things that are crazy, yes, O'Hara and Bonner are playing this week. Bonner's the highest seed, but yet where's the game being played at? Cardinal O'Hara High School on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Tell them why, Willie, though. You got to tell them why.
Because Bonner, when they did their football field, they did not put stands in. So O'Hara has a great stadium, although cell service there is
terrible.
Suspect.
It's terrible. It's not suspect, Willie. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible. We know. We've tried to do games there, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's terrible. So we're gonna have our intern Nick down there at that game. So he's gonna struggle to get updates out.
He's gonna have a heart attack.
But he'll be there for it.
Young goat's gonna have a heart attack. Old Nick, he's gonna be like, my tweet's not going out, man. 50 years in 50 years it'll come up. We love the young goat. You're good. You're good. Kid. But no, I mean, O'Hara's on. You know, they're a tough team. A couple D1 recruits, and they're playing good football. Bonner, like, I don't know, guys, is it just me, or last year at this time we were saying Bonner. This year I'm just kind of like, I don't know, and they got most of that team back, except for the wide receiver.
We've said it all year. Bonner. We've said it all year. Agreed.
What's up with Bonner this year?
They're a dangerous team right now. They're flying on the radar. I know there's several people down around in the Philly area that's actually thinking O'Hara will win this game, which will be, if they do, I wouldn't be surprised. But you talked about the Holy War up in between Allentown Central Catholic and Bethlehem Catholic. This is the Delco Holy War. No disrespect to Archbishop Cal, but these two Catholic schools battle it out every year for Delaware County pride, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
This year, there's a
Bonner got the best of them in the first game. O'Hara looking for revenge, having the home field advantage. Bonner's going to be coming in PO'd about being the higher seed and having to travel to O'Hara. So we'll see what. So
well, listen, I love Coach to death, but you know what? If you're gonna have playoff games and you don't have stands, this is to be expected. Can you imagine like a team like McKeesport or Jersey Shore or Shamokin going down there and finding out there's no bleachers at the stadium they have to play at? Dude, Matt, they'd tear that place to grow. I know the cops are like all over the place in Upper Darby and they're tough on getting you in the gate, but they wouldn't stand a chance against them Shamokin people that came in and found out that there's no bleachers.
Hey, those guys are resourceful in Shamokin. They'd build their own stands before kickoff.
Yeah, I probably and the quarterback's dad would probably have the crew there to do it, right?
Hey, shameless plug for Epic Construction. Gotta go there. Great company.
Now, so we're waiting on West Philly. When that decision has to come down before Friday or like this week, right? Who's waiting in the wings for West Philly?
That's the thing. I look at. I don't know who else could possibly be coming out of the public league in District 12. District 12. I mean, District 12 needs to make a decision ASAP. But let's face it, as me and Anthony have said numerous times during
so if they let them in, so what I'm asking is, if they let them in, they're basically on a double bye, and then Cardinal, Harry, or Bonner Prendy will play them in the next round.
Mm-hmm. And look at it.
Well, it won't matter then because they'll be.
No, look at it. The teams besides West Philly that, in my opinion, should be allowed to make play for District 12 4A title would be Thomas Edison and Boys Ratton Charter, but they did not qualify for the Philadelphia Public League playoffs. They played in the invitational tournament, which disqualified them. So it's looking like the winner of Bonner O'Hara's going to have a bye week next week.
Philadelphia is a mess. The public is a mess, man. I mean,
only in the pub.
Dude,
you know what? In the pub, Billy.
Who always
only
said that,
in the
Willie?
pub.
Who was the man? Tell everybody who the man was.
The great, one of my mentors in this business, Ted Celery, coined the
Ted
phrase
Celery is
in the
probably
pub.
he's probably in heaven right now, looking down and laughing like a goat.
He's up in heaven right now.
He's
like shaking his head, saying, "Only in the pub,
he's
only in the
laughing
pub,
like a goat right now." It's funny. But,
only in the pub."
Yeah, so we're just waiting on that one then. But that's the 4A bracket gang, and that's the precursor to the first day of the state championship games, which, by the way, I'm working on a location. We will announce that next week, where we're going to do our pre-championship game. What do we call it? The pre-game series.
Preview show.
The championship preview show. We'll come up with some kind of catchy name. But we're going to do it live somewhere down near the stadium, and we're going to invite everybody to come out. Hopefully people show up and have a good time. So we'll announce that. But right now, we're going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to talk to see if any sponsors want to continue on with us, and I hope they do. We'll be right back after these messages.
You you want to be able to play as hard as you can, as safe as you can.
Whenever I have the safe cap on, it absorbs most of the blow.
You can tell it's a little bit softer. When you get hit, it's just like kind of bounces off instead of reverberates through your helmet.
So when we look at those tests, when we had a safer cover on a football helmet, on average, it reduced accelerations by 11%.
CoachComm is the proven and trusted leader in coaching communications. For over 30 years, we've built our business on innovation and winning, with the goal to equip your team with the best coaching communication available. 97% of all FBS programs and thousands of high schools and colleges across the U.S. choose CoachComm because CoachComm has the experience and the know-how to provide the very best in technology and winning solutions.
For over a decade, Circle W Sports has delivered top-tier athletic websites and helped numerous student athletes get noticed. Now, we're taking things to the next level with Showcase. We've reimagined everything, combining the power of our proven platform into one sleek, all-in-one profile that's customizable, dynamic, and built just for you. No more juggling multiple profiles. No more messy links. Every Showcase tier includes a personalized QR code and short link, making it easier than ever to share your story, anytime, anywhere. Think of it as your own digital scrapbook. Post highlights, add workout clips, upload photos, share your stats, achievements, and more, all in one place. Whether you're chasing scholarships, creating your personal brand with our name, image, and likeness offerings, or you just want to show off your grind, Showcase puts your journey front and center with packages starting at $9.99 per month. It's your game, your story, your future. Get noticed, get recruited, and most importantly, get ahead with Showcase.
Thank you for calling Promises Internet Service. Please remain on the line. Due to high call volume around the world, it's likely you'll be on hold for well over an hour.
Get faster speeds for less money than the national companies at CenterWisp in Central Pennsylvania. CenterWisp is your fast local internet provider. For more information, go to centerwisp.com. That's CenterWisp.com. Now with faster speeds.
And welcome back to the State of PA Football, the second week of playoff edition. We're breaking down the brackets with Willie, Jared, and Travel and Matt down there. Hey, guys, 1 and 4 was fun. I think the 2A bracket's going to be a little more fun. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this is the most wide open bracket in the state. 4A is pretty wide open, but 2A, there's probably 7 or 8 teams that can bring home the chip.
So we got Carn City and Central Clarion, Farrell and Mercyhurst Prep, McCourt, Marion Center, Richland, and Bellwood Annis.
I think it's Farrell's bracket to win on that side, but Carn City's been doing some stuff, and then eventually one of those two teams is going to run into Bishop McCourt probably, and I think that could be a great game. Whoever ends up playing McCourt.
And not to forget, Matt, Carn City's playing a team in Central Clarion who actually made the championship weekend.
That's true. That's very true. And I'm looking down at the bottom part of that and saying, boy, we're gonna get McCourt and Richland again. And that's always been a good one.
Mm-hmm.
It has as of late, yeah. It has as of late. And that's gonna be but I'll tell you what, Farrell Mercier's Prep. I think Farrell rolls in this one, and I like Carn City and Central Clarion. Central Clarion is not the team they were last year, but this Marion Center's feisty. They may put up a fight, but they had a tough one against Cambrian Heights last week, 29-22. They've got some pretty good speed, but I just don't think they have the power to hang with McCourt. And you're right. I think we're going to end up with Richland McCourt smash.
Bring it on.
Yeah. And then Let's go to the bottom half of that. Seton LaSalle, Mohawk, South Allegheny, Washington, Western Beaver, Apollo Ridge, Steel Valley, Elwood City. You know, Matt, you talked about it before. It's like the Whitfield has struggled in 2A. Is there anybody here?
I think Seton LaSalle could be a team that might sneak through some games out of District 7 in terms of, like, if they win the district, they could do some damage because they're very, very talented. But like you said, Whitfield 2A, it's been a long time. So Whitfield has owned 3A for a very long time, and they did until last year. You know, Central Valley was winning a bunch of games in 3A. But 2A for the Whitfields it's been pretty thin since was it 2016 with Steel Valley when they beat Southern Columbia. So I wouldn't put anything past Seton LaSalle. I think they have a decent shot to get through District 7 and maybe win a game or two in the state playoffs.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Western Beavers, you know, we talked about them last week. A bunch of no names at Western Beaver, and they're just rolling through the playoffs. Apollo Ridge had a good game. I watched their highlights. Nice game against Riverside. But South Allegheny is a team that has me perplexed. I think South Allegheny could make some noise, but Washington, they just kind of quietly march through the playoffs. Like, don't look at us. Hey, you know, we got this. We're good. And then all of a sudden, bang! Washington's 9-2, and they're playing in the Whitfield quarterfinals.
Yeah, I think what these 2A teams are missing. So, like, let's take Steel Valley, for example. They got a tremendous athlete in Barksdale. And I saw them play the first week of the season. Nice team, good, not great, right? So then when you talk about the Washington Prexies, you know, they got one great player, good, not great team, right? So these teams absolutely have an awesome seasons and could end up playing in the Whitfield final. But most of these teams rely on one kid to get the job done. And I think that's where Seton LaSalle might have a jump on the other teams, as they have a few guys that can get it done.
Yeah, and then you go up to the top half of that bracket, McCourt. They don't have a stud; they have a stable, and that's how they're winning games. And so, but you know, Farrell has a couple studs. So this is very interesting. This side of the bracket is really interesting. I can't call it. Like, I can't say it's going to be McCourt versus anyone, LaSalle or South Allegheny. I can't say it's going to be Farrell versus South Allegheny or Washington. I can't say it. I think that's a toss-up on this side of the bracket.
We did say this was one of the brackets that's a complete toss-up in it, and it's proven to be true here.
And then you go to the other side of the bracket, and guess what? It doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, same headache.
Steel and Ice Fire in Halifax, Chestnut Ridge in Berlin. You want to talk about two teams that seem like they play each other 1,000 times. I mean, there's two of them right there. Southern Columbia and Bloomsburg, and Maury Run and Troy. I can't tell you who's going to win that top bracket. Steel High, Halifax. I saw Halifax last week. Nasty defense. Nasty. I mean, Middle A he had 2 interceptions. They had a pick 6. They recovered 2 fumbles. They forced and recovered 2 fumbles. Playing against Lancaster Catholic, and their quarterback Tegan Carroll. He's a 4-year senior, and he's one of those kids that, you know, if you give him a decent team, he makes a big difference. He's that one player. Now, Steel High Spire on the other side, they've got a bunch of players. They got to get their discipline together, though, if they're going to win this game.
Yeah, I think this is the difference. Like, Halifax for me is a little more competitive as a 1A team. And this is the difference between 1A and 2A, where you can have one kid in 1A, like, let's say, like an Aiden Bliss, that can take you to a state final and maybe win it for you. But in 2A, you got to be a little more dynamic. You got to have a little more depth to your offensive attack. And that's where you get into like, like a Farrell has Piggies and Johnson, or McCourt's got a few kids that can get it done, or Southern's, got a few running backs that can get it done. So just not enough depth maybe for Halifax, but an impressive team though.
They are impressive. Southern Columbia and Bloomsburg, these two teams played 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't nice.
It wasn't
nice
close. Wasn't close.
And then on the bottom half, you got Troy. I think those two teams win easily.
Yeah, I got to agree with that. We're 2 weeks away from could be a state final in the District 4 final.
Boy, Southern. Ooh. Matt's already probably setting up his car for that ride now.
Sorry, I'm doing something right here. My bad. I'm doing two things at once. I think Warrior runs a nice team, but like you said, it's Southern Columbia and Troy are heading for a collision course. And now we're talking about that bottom half of that bracket. Schuylkill Haven and Northern Lehigh, which Northern Lehigh won with the Philly special on a 2-point conversion, Willie. They ran the Philly special and scored with no time left on the clock to win the game. So kudos to Northern Lehigh on that one. That was also on the state PA or on the PFN Taps In.
Yeah.
This is a game I really like. Williams Valley and Minersville. Minersville. Dude, I mean, like, we were there for that game with Penn Argyll. And I'm going to give Penn Argyll a ton of credit right now. That team had a nice looking offense, but they didn't have Dante Carr.
I was super impressed with Penn Argyll. I went to that game expecting it to be just kind of like the end of my weekend. It ended up being a great game, 35-27 Minersville. But like you said, look out, Dante Carr. Holy smokes, like every single play was highlight reel material. And he played quite a bit of defense too, which I think is important to Minersville's run if they're going to get past Williams Valley. Which is no easy task. That Williams Valley team is super motivated, especially the kids. Obviously, the coach left, but the kids are motivated to win another district title. So,
yeah, just a really good team. And then down your way, Willie, dude, what happened to Odd Reed Charter, man? Like we talked about them all year long, and Slam. I wish Davin was here to talk about this one, but Lansdale Catholic 66-8, and Odd Reed didn't even score until they had 60 points scored on them. That was something else. Welcome to real football, I guess it would be.
Don't get me wrong. Odd Reed Charter is arguably the best story, definitely down here in Philly, if not statewide. The first year program making it to a district championship game. Unfortunately, they ran into a buzzsaw that is a team that has won several district championships, whether it be a District 1 championship or now District 12 championship, and has a state title to their credit in Lansdale Catholic. And they just, Alderman Charter just ran out of steam, and Lansdale took it to him. But still, you got to tip your hat to Royale Everett and for the amazing job that he and his staff did with Alderman Charter this year. Well deserve all the credit that they have.
I agree. That's amazing. Bristol.
Anytime you just take a first year program.
Bristol versus Lancaster Catholic, Willie. What do you got going on there?
I got Lansdale Catholic winning it and coming out there again, and I don't see Bristol being able to do Lansdale Catholic when they play their games. When they're on, and there's been several games that they've been off. When they're on, they're one of the hardest teams to beat in 2A. But I don't see Bristol giving them a hard time. this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Schuylkill Valley and Northern Lehigh, or Schuylkill Haven, just I mean, Mike Farr has that team on automatic. It's like a coal train heading downhill. I mean, when you look at this bracket, I'm gonna say it out loud: Steel High, Southern Columbia, Troy, Schuylkill Haven, Williams Valley, Lakeland, Western Beaver, Seton LaSalle, Bishop McCourt, and Farrell. Any one of those teams could win a state championship this year. Does anybody disagree with me?
Whoever survives that deserves to be crowned state champion.
Yeah, don't not too fast though. I'm going to set the Wayback Machine to when a slightly younger Billy Splain sent an even younger guy to his first district championship game, and it was Dunmore up at Lakeland, and Lakeland's quarterback gets hurt probably early second quarter, and Dunmore rolls and play great defense. And then 5 minutes to go in the game, Lakeland's quarterback comes back on the field and drives them down, and they win that game. Wild game. And Billy asked me what my best game I covered that year was, and I said, "Oh my gosh, it's Lakeland Dunmore." And the thing is, Matt saw it last week. What we were talking about, the Herda Bucks defense is back, and they're doing it. They've got that going. Lakeland's going to have their hands full. I'm going to be up on the hilltop with Churl Friday night covering that one. I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, football's good when Dunmore's good, right? So I'm a 90s kid. I graduated in 92. And when Dunmore's good and Berwick is good and Mount Carmel's good, like that's when football is good around central and eastern PA for me. And I saw Dunmore last week. There's a reason I went to that game against Riverside and Dunmore. And that was to see the Dunmore Bucks and see, if they were going to avenge that 17-14 overtime loss to Riverside. And it wasn't even close. 27-7, late touchdown by Riverside. Riverside has a lot of athletes and a nice offense, but that was a fun Dunmore team to watch last week.
They're a fun team to watch for sure.
And great fans,
if they somehow get past Lakeland, they could make a little bit of noise. Their defense is a little bit scary at times. You just don't know where they're coming from, and all of a sudden they've hit you for 5-yard loss, and you're just like, what even just happened there? It's crazy.
A lot like Berwick fans, they know what happened back in the 90s, and you start to see that gleam in their eye. You see the guy in Dunmore with the buck antlers on his head, and he's running around the stadium. I'm like,
the helmet.
Don't let these guys wake up, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There are some programs that define football in Pennsylvania, and when you look back, I mean, like definitely you got to talk about Thomas Jefferson. They define football in Pennsylvania. Clareton. There are even some teams that don't exist anymore that define, what Pennsylvania football is. I mean, Cass Township is gone, but like that's hard. That was hard nosed, beat them up, undefeated, out in the middle of nowhere. Like Willie wouldn't even have any idea. Willie probably didn't even know there was a Cass Township that won a title. And that's no offense. That was no offense to you, Willie, but Cass Township was basically a blink. There wasn't even a red light.
I drive by it every day. 1957, untied, unscored upon, and undefeated.
Yeah, it's good. So yeah, I mean, 2A is just, to me, high school football is 2, 3, and 4A teams.
You got it. You got it.
For me, that's what they are, and that's just how it is. That's our 2A bracket breakdown. Let's get right into the 4A bracket. I'm not even going to give you guys a guess as to who's going to win the 2A because it's just too crazy. Let's go look at 5A. This is easy, right, guys? Finally, we're going to see Pine Richland on the field. They're going to play Shaler. We're going to see Penn Trafford. They're going to play Moon. We're going to see Peters Township. They're going to play Bethel Park. I mean, like Woodland Hills. They're going to play Upper St. Clair. Are these not the teams that we say their names every week, every year?
Absolutely. We said them every week during rankings, right, Matt?
And
Like
every
there wasn't
year.
like always, all these
every
teams.
year, Bethel Park, Moon,
Yep.
Penn Trafford, Pine Richland, Woodland Hills, Upper St. Clair. It's every single year. Those are your teams that you're looking for. Now, Woodland Hills, of course, that's another team that, up in Turtle Creek, they they have some tradition, but that's a newer team up there. They're not an old team. They're a bunch of teams brought together. But in the Homewood section, they call it, and Scoop Smith versus the quarterback of Upper St. Clair.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy to think Scoop Smith is a senior because I think he's been playing high school football for like 18 years now. The guy is one of the most fun players in the state to watch. Undersized kid. I think he's committed to like Kent State or one of those MAC schools. But well worth the price of admission. And this is the year that Woody High has been building towards. This is the senior class that they thought, when they were freshmen and sophomores, that this would be the year. And that being said, how competitive is 5A in the District 7 in the Whitfield when you have Pine Richland, Peters Township, Penn Trafford, and Woody High? Like, you have a great team, and maybe you don't even make it into the semis, in your own district. So,
yeah. Peters Township, Moon. Peters Township on a roll. Quarterback looks really good. Moon, I mean, this is, they got Bethel Park. Moon has Penn Trafford, which, by the way, I'm going to stop the show right here.
Yes.
Congratulations to our very own, our intern, Mia Williams, who won a state championship medal this weekend in tennis. So big hand to Mia Farrell. Mia Farrell. Mia Williams on that one. Yeah, congratulations, girl. We're super proud of you at PA Football News. We celebrated with her on Sunday night. But Pine Richland rolls over Shayla, right?
I think so, and that's Coach LaDon's former high school too. So, maybe a fun night for him as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And Penn Trafford and Moon, this is going to be a tough battle. I think that's probably the game of the week, in my opinion. That's the game of the week out there. That one and Woodland Hills and Upper St. Clair, those two are going to be good battles. I think we'll have all four of those games covered this week. I know AJ's going to see Upper St. Clair and Woodland Hills, possibly. Good luck to AJ because the press box sucks, and so does the sideline. There's no good place for a reporter except for in the bleachers at Woodland Hills. I'm serious, it's awful. New Oxford and Spring Grove, Solanco, Warwick, Conestoga Valley, Exeter Township, Bishop McDevitt, Mechanicsburg. Those are all kind of new names except for one of them, right?
Good old Bishop McDevitt.
Yeah, I feel like McDevitt's been laying kind of low this year. Obviously, they're coming off a monster season last year and a lot of graduation last year too. Obviously, Stone Saunders at quarterback, but this is the time, maybe in Mechanicsburg gives them a game at least, but at some point, McDevitt's going to have to show themselves and show all their cards and say, this is what we got this year. So I'm not sure we're quite there yet, but we're getting closer every week.
Yeah, we are. Mechanicsburg always it's like their bullseye. It's like crap. McDevitt. Why can't we play all these other teams? Conestoga Valley coming off a bye this week. I think this is a big time game. I'm sending PFN Dan down to this game. Exeter Township, Conestoga Valley. Exeter Township with a 35-0 win over a respectable Lower Dolphin team. They had a good football team all year long. Exeter Township, again, just quietly mowing through opponents. This is going to be a slobber knocker. Solanco and Warwick. Solanco's another team that's just been kind of like tick, tick, tick. But Warwick, they're getting through with a really nice quarterback until now. I don't know if they
Yeah,
they have it.
they're actually burning through quarterbacks this year. At one
Yes.
point, they were on their fourth quarterback at one point this season. So yeah, I mean they're having a great year too. And the game against Solanco is actually when they lost their starter, I believe, earlier in the year. So, I'm not sure what happens in that game, but they're burning through kids at Warwick.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I think this side of the bracket, I think it's an interesting bracket. It really is. Let's go over to the other side. Abington Heights and Delaware Valley, Hollidaysburg and Du Bois, Roman Catholic only, Whitehall and Pocono Mountain East. There's only one game on that whole group that I'm excited about. Jared.
Yeah, and it should be a good game. And I was wishing that it was going to be Saturday because I'd go cover that in a heartbeat. That these guys always knock it out, and it's different than when these Abington played Delaware Valley earlier in the season because they didn't have their quarterback Nick Bradley, who is just fantastic. He's a difference maker, and I think Abington Heights gets him back. I think Delaware Valley has played well. They've played well down the stretch, but they've had a tough stretch, and they just squeaked against Pittston last week. I mean, 7-6. Gosh, that's wow. But Abington, I think, gets them back this time and wins the district championship.
Your boys in Hollidaysburg, these two teams already played one time. Hollidaysburg dominated. I expect Hollidaysburg to dominate again. They're just like, I don't know. I think we're on our way to a wonderful Hollidaysburg, Abington Heights, Roman Catholic kind of feel like we had last year. Same three teams. There's no way, and I'm sorry, I love football players and coaches and everything like that. There's just absolutely no way Olney survives the first 6 minutes of the first quarter of a game against Roman Catholic. I
love Olney, but especially after Romans struggled in the first quarter a bit last week against Fire Judge before ultimately hanging a 63 spot on him. I can't see Coach Preet letting Olney even have any glimmer of hope coming out there.
Then over on the other side, I mean, like it's not like the other side. You got Whitehall, Pocono Mountain East. I mean, the Dogmitis guys are, they're nice to watch. They're fun to watch. If you remember 2 years ago, I think it was, Whitehall came out of nowhere and ripped up our rankings. We were like, where the heck did they come from? We were like, we didn't even want to talk about Whitehall, and boom, they made it to the semifinals. So it is a team that you got to be careful of. I just don't think they have the guns to get past Roman Catholic. Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Nor does Pocono Mountain East, to give them credit. PME had a great season this year, and probably their best season in how long, Jared? 10 years.
It has to be a long time. And Matt and I saw them. They got a couple of really, really good kids, especially that running back of Martin Green and Justin Williams, the receiver, who, by the way, Matt, is ridiculously healthy and looked awesome Saturday. But it doesn't matter. I don't think it's going to matter. I think Whitehall is better, and it doesn't matter who gets through anyways because Roman, forget it.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the bottom half. Springfield, Delco, Pencrest, Strathaven, Unionville, Chester and Garnet Valley, Ruston, and Kennett. That is actually an impressive looking bracket, right, Willie?
That is a tremendous District 1 bracket. Looking at it, I see possibly two to three upsets in this part, but seed-wise in this bracket, I think Springfield Delco handled Pencrest earlier this season. Hats off to Paul Graham and Pencrest. They did an amazing job, but I think Springfield Delco gets by them again this matchup. Strathaven Unionville game, that's the game that Matt talked about, that the games that were considered covering. That was one of the games I was considering coming because I haven't seen Strathaven yet, but they struggled mightily. They were actually down, I believe it was 21 nothing perhaps, to up a Moran before completely rallying. And then against a Unionville team that I saw 2 or 3 times this year. Brody McLaughlin is a tremendous hard-nosed running back. Tommy McGinnis is a good quarterback for them. I'm actually gonna put Strathaven. I'm actually gonna put Strathaven on upset alert this week because Unionville can do it if Strathaven comes out and plays like they did against Upper Moreland. Unionville's gonna give them all types of problems and could probably come out victorious. Then in the bottom half of the bracket, we got the Chester Garnet Valley matchup, all Delaware County matchup. Chester is gonna be without one of the better players, Deron Harris, due to him being ejected last week in the Marple game, which Garnet Valley came out and offensively in the first half absolutely steamrolled Upper Perkiomen last week. I think I tweeted out at halftime they had Garnet Valley only had 12 plays in the first half, but 5 of them ended up in the end zone. Chester likes to throw the ball a bit. Garnet Valley needs to tighten up their pass defense. So that's gonna be an interesting matchup. I could see Garnet Valley coming out of Chester victorious, but that's the game's a real toss up. Then in the bottom half of it, you have Ruston versus Kennett. Ruston beat up Kennett pretty good in the all-year meeting this season.
I like the Garner kid. He's good. He's a very fast bulldozer.
Yes, he is.
He's a load. If you're not seeing his film yet, go check out Will Garner.
Absolutely, he's a bulldozer. He's not afraid to hit, like you said. He's not afraid to hit people.
And I watched him today. I watched him carry people into the end zone. He's a monster. I mean, he busts through the line, knocks you out, and then lets you hang on while he drags you into the end zone. That's like
exactly.
He's good on defense too. He's a good linebacker too. That's one of Rustin's main weapons right there.
And I think, speaking of Rustin, let's talk about them. They had graduated a bunch of seniors from a team last year that advanced to the state semis, won District 1 and advanced to the state semis. And some around town thought, okay, hey, Rustin won't be there. And here they are. This seemed like they're rolling again right through District 1. I see them easily dispatching Kennett this weekend, setting up a possible Chester Rustin matchup at Chester this time. Or
it's interesting.
Garnet Valley Rustin matchup, which I'm taking the over under on passing attempts at 5 if those two teams match up.
I think honestly, God, Willie, that's an impressive looking bracket in District 1. If Bishop McDevitt, Pine Richland, and Roman Catholic weren't in the playoffs, they would have a shot.
That's unfortunate. Is you get somebody's going to survive. I say survive the grind of the District 1 bracket playoff, and who they're going to be waiting for them in the state semi. All likelihood, unless something crazy happens, Samaj Beals and his Roman Catholic teammates waiting for them. District 1 will not be winning the state championship in 5A this year.
You have it, Matt.
Yeah, I love going to District 1 games because they're so competitive and some teams with a lot of great history.
It is.
It's just for some reason they just don't get over the hump and get that chip.
I do think it's attrition. Honestly, God, I think that plays a part of it. I think attrition does play a part of it. I mean,
I agree.
You look at the names of the teams that are in that bracket in 5A down in District 1. I mean, listen to the names. These are names we talk about on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis. Stelco, Upper Dublin, Pencrest, Westchester East, Strathaven, Wissahickon, Unionville, Chester, Marble Newtown, who just a few years ago had 5-year run. Upper Perkiomen, Garnet Valley. I mean, the only thing missing from there is Springford, and they're up in 6A now. And, these teams do beat the snot out of each other every week. So that's
And the funny thing is, if you look at it, most of the teams, you talk about how you have some Samokin, Mount Carmel, and all of them in a little tight area. You look at it, you have Westchester, Ruston, Garner Valley. I'll even say Unionville, Strathaven, Chester, Springfield, and Pencrest, all within maybe 20, 25-minute ride of each other. All within a little circle. Delaware County, Chester County, but all within about 20, 25 minutes of each other, if that.
Fun stuff.
Makes for a lot of hard decisions for me of where to pick, where to go every week.
Yeah, fun stuff. Hey, that's the 5A breakdown. We got 2 more classifications to break down. So we're going to do that. But right now we're going to pay some bills, and we'll be right back after these words from our sponsor.
PAFootballnews.com and CWTAP. Tap into the state. PAFootballnews.com and CWTAP presents their weekly highlight show, bringing you, the viewers and fans, the best of the weekend's high school and college football action and interviews from all over the state of Pennsylvania. And introducing The View from the Sidelines, where you, the fans, can send in clips of your favorite team or athletes. Simply email your links or clips to Billy@PAFootballnews.com with the subject line, The View, by Sunday morning, and we'll try and present them on the program. PAFootballnews.com and CWTAP Tap into the State. Our weekly highlight show every Tuesday at 9 on CWTAP and the next morning streaming on PFN. We got you covered.
And he's in the end zone for the touchdown. Touchdown!
Juggled and caught!
The very fact that you're still breathing right now is evidence that God has not given up on you and your story isn't over.
If you're hurting, if you need hope, if you want to ignite the fire of Jesus in your life, the Story Tour is for you.
You're in this place tonight because God's not done.
God is bigger than whatever you're facing, and if he was willing to move in the life of this ex-drug addict, there's no mountain he won't move.
Found and Favored Ministries presents The Story Tour, a one-night event for the hurting and struggling, featuring the music of Alan Scott Band. God stories from across the country.
My name is Lisa, and for 40 years, I've struggled with shame because I had an abortion.
My name's Ken. I stepped away from a 17-year marriage. I stepped away from a 7-year-old daughter.
My story wasn't over.
My story wasn't over.
God is so much bigger than whatever you're facing.
Your story isn't over.
Your story isn't over.
Pastor and suicide survivor, Travis Habersham.
God loves to take the menaces of society and turn them into walking miracles of his glory.
The testimony of ex-drug addict Alan Scott.
I was a drug addict and a thief, but 18 years ago, God set me free and gave me a hope of the future.
Join us for an incredible night that will encourage you to believe that God can heal any hurt, move any mountain, and restore any situation. The Story Tour. For more info, visit thestorytour.org.
My name is Carlos Bradley. I'm a former NFL player and currently chairman of Safer Sports. What is Safer Sports? We are a soft shell technology company. Our product, the Safer Helmet Cover, has been tested at Virginia Tech Helmet Lab and is proven to reduce the risk of concussion by as much as 77%. So if you have a youth league, a high school or college, and you want to be safer, get in touch with safersports.com.
The Cobalt Plus headset system delivers proven performance along with more users, more flexibility. That's why coaches across Pennsylvania trust Cobalt Plus. Coachcom makes tough headset systems for tough teams. We build headsets to help teams win. Call or click to learn more about Cobalt Plus from the proven leader in football communications.
And welcome back to the State of PA Football, the second week of playoffs edition. I'm Billy Splain, your host, and all around me are some of my favorite guys from our staff at PA Football News. And I want to give a shout out to my staff right now. This past weekend, we covered 58 games over the weekend. That's an amazing stat. And guess what? We're probably going to come close to 45 games this week. So we have two entities to thank: our staff and District 11 for wanting every single team in District 11 to have a playoff game, and they had to do it on Thursday. So thank you very much. That was very helpful. District 11. People are bitching, hey, we got too many playoff games, and I'm like, nah, we're covering them, man. We got people fighting over these games. They want to cover them, but hey, off to the 3A bracket. One of my favorite brackets: Avonworth, Freeport, Elizabeth Forward, North Catholic, Imani Christian, Hopewell, Central Valley, and Highlands. Central Valley, we talked about this during our meeting. We almost had an Elizabeth Forward, Avonworth possibility at Acrisure because of the seeding, though. Central Valley got the seed, and now we're going to see possibly Elizabeth Forward and Avonworth a week earlier than we want to.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting game. I mean, Avonworth would probably be the favorite there, but I saw Elizabeth Forward earlier this season, and their quarterback Ryan Messina is a really nice quarterback. I think what's changed this year, we hear about Elizabeth Forward every year, and what's different about this team is the defense is a lot better. And I think they're counting on that. You can get it in a shootout with Elizabeth Forward with Messina at quarterback, but maybe the defense carries them a little bit further than they've been in the past few years.
Monty Christian and Hopewell, Central Valley and Highlands. Central Valley, Mark Lyons, we talked about this last week. Mark Lyons every year does just enough to get this team in a position to get to the Whitfield Championship. Highlands is a newbie in this one. Imani Christian loaded with D1 athletes. However, my concern with Imani is their depth. And then you've got Hopewell, who just destroyed Southmoreland last week, which that was another, I guess if you wanted to ask me, that would be another shocker from last week.
Yeah, there's always some teams in the Whitfield especially that seem to break through in the playoffs and maybe get a week or two deeper than normal. Sometimes like if you look at like a D3 bracket, there just aren't that many upsets. Sometimes you do see it like Jared in D2, you'll see some upsets. But in the Whitfield, most of those teams are pretty talented. They might be like a 6-7 seed and they're 8-2. With the way they run their playoffs out there. So a team like Hopewell kind of came out of nowhere this year. I think they had some transfers that may have joined that school this year, and maybe they win a game or two more than they have in the past.
Yeah. Down in the other bracket, it's not as strong a bracket. You got Brockway on a bye. Penn Cranberry is going to play Huntington. Hickory and Fort LeBoeuf and Sharon Northeast. I think we're heading for a Hickory-Sharon matchup that everybody looks forward to every year up in District 10. It's an old school. When we talked about earlier, we talked about some of those schools who it's important when they're winning. Hickory and Sharon are two of those schools. They're definitely two of those schools that when they win, the world is right, and they're winning, and they always win every year. Penn Cambria and Huntington, Huntington's a nice team. Penn Cambria, of course, had a great run to the semifinal last year with Nick Fearless, who's down at the Chamonix right now. We're going to talk about him in our next segment. And, they graduated a boatload of people, but here they are again. And Matt, is that one of those coattail things? Like, you were so good. The kids that are still there got so much experience. They're that good again.
Yeah, I mean, when you get an opportunity to get some playing time for the younger kids, it definitely pays off down the road. And winning breeds winning. So when teams start believing they can win, more times than not, they start winning some ball games, and it just starts rolling. You know, when you start winning a few games, you know, other teams kind of fall to the wayside, and your program becomes real. And I think that's where we talk about. There's teams that are looking for that district title. They're good, not great when you talk state level, but in terms of district titles, you know, they're right there in the running.
Yeah. Let's go to the bottom of this bracket. I just want to. I'm going to go to the top. Newman, Goretti, and Bartram. They're awaiting who, Willie?
They're waiting the winner of District 3, looks like, based on the bracket, because they're playing the District 12 championship game and then have a bye next week and then end up playing whoever survives District 3. Now, Matt, let's be honest. I tip my hat off to Coach Albie Crosby and Coach Acme at Boston on a great year, but let's face it, like Matt said, among teams that are playing for district titles but not state titles, I think this is a case of that. I mean, I honestly no, and I mean no disrespect to either coach, either team. I cannot see Bartram or Newman Grady really making much noise in the state playoffs, but at least some one of them is going to be a district champion. And I can see this game being a toss-up, actually, because me and Anthony Franklin were talking all year this week about this. They're truly as evenly matched as it comes. So let's see what happens.
And then Berks Catholic, Bermudian Springs, Anvil, Cleona, Trinity. I think Trinity is a team that can make some noise here. Honestly, I don't know that Anvil Cleona has the horses to stick with a very talented Trinity team. I think we see, in my opinion, I don't think this is the Bermudian Springs that we saw last year play against Danville. They played Danville very well last year. Berks Catholic has been building. I think they're coming off a bye, so I'm going to predict a Berks Catholic Trinity matchup. Trinity has a really nice quarterback, and they've got a couple of athletes that can compete. Matt, you saw Trinity.
Yeah, Trinity's my upset special to win District 3. And let's think about this for a second. What if a 3A Trinity had Messiah Mickens, and that's his home school? What do they do in the 3A playoffs?
Roll.
Pretty, you know, when he was playing 2A, they ended up playing Southern Columbia back in those really good Southern Columbia teams in 2A. But what if Mickens is on this 3A Trinity team? What happens? I would have loved to see that, but I still think I think they got a shot at winning the district title.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. Down to the bottom half of that bracket: Mifflinburg, Montoursville, Berwick, Scranton Prep, Notre Dame, Green Pond, Tamaqua, Northwestern Lehigh, North Schuylkill. The only game I'm really not excited about is the Notre Dame, Green Pond, Tamaqua game. I think Green Pond rolls in that one, but that Northwestern Lehigh, North Schuylkill game, I mean, Luke's the real deal, right?
Yeah, Luke Miller, just an outstanding athlete. You know, he made the move from last year as a wide receiver to running back just to probably get him some more touches. Probably a good idea from Wally Hall, who always has a nice offensive scheme there. But, you know, they're running into a buzzsaw this week. You're running into the state champ. So, like you said, I think all those games are fun games to be at. And Jared can talk to this a little bit more. That Scranton Prep Berwick game might be the game of the week.
It's been a perplexing thing to think about. Ever since I walked off the field at Wyoming area Friday night, I said, holy cow, like what did we just see here? I mean, dominated, and we knew that Berwick would dominate again against Hanover. They're everybody talks about Tymir Wilkerson, how great he is, and he is great. It's the line. It's the line on both sides. It's crazy good. It's crazy good. That is, and it's weird because prep does so many different things. There's so many different guys that can run the ball, and their line's playing good now. And on defense, I mean, Wyoming area is running the ball all year. Prep shut them down like I've not seen anybody shut them down. Like they ran better against Berwick. So it tells me that Prep can probably run a bit against Berwick because of the type of run they do. They don't have a big bruising back. They have a number of different guys that get it done, and they have the best two-way player in District 2, Will McPartland. That kid is finally healthy, and look out. That's going to be a heck of a game down there.
Yeah, and Mifflinburg-Montoursville, this is a battle of a game that happened earlier this year that Mifflinburg came out and just completely smoked Montoursville. Montoursville all over Danville, or Mifflinburg all over Danville last week. And Montoursville and Mount Carmel, I mean, that was a battle. 3 overtimes, 43-42. That was probably one of the games of the week last week, for sure. If you happened to pick to be there, I would say that was you picked the right game, and I don't know how you picked the right game, but good job for you. Kudos, but that's it's a huge matchup. So district or 3A is, to me, it's a wild card. It's a toss up. I don't actually Willie. I don't count out New McGretty because Albie knows how to win football games.
Oh, he definitely does, but I think their problem is going to be the injury bug, unfortunately, for them.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
You know what? I'll gladly eat crow if Albie Crosby comes out and ends up making a lot of noise in the state playoffs. Albie, like you said, Albie Crosby is a great coach. He was assistant coach on the West Catholic teams that in the early to late 2000s went on that incredible run they had with Coach Strait and company, and now Albie's running his own program and he's doing a great job with Newman. It's just unfortunate they've been bit by injuries.
Let's not forget he also took Imhotep to Hershey, Pennsylvania.
And Imhotep, yes, I keep forgetting his time at Imhotep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't forget Imhotep. Shame on you.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, I mean that's the 3A bracket break. I don't know who I like. I like Northwestern Lehigh to come out of this one again. I'm gonna say it again. I think Berwick might be a year or two away from. Let's face it. I'm gonna be honest. I love Berwick. I love the fact that they're winning, but they're dominant in the second division of the Wyoming Valley Conference, and they need to be you need to win the first conference.
That's why I said this week's the big one. This week is when they finally get the challenge that they haven't seen all year against, again, here's one of those teams that played a tough schedule early, played Canisius on the road, played Loyola Blakefield. And there's other teams. But got to remember, Prep also pounded Jersey Shore. And so you just don't know what you're getting, and it's just a wild card. Prep is going to be a crazy, crazy game. We'll have to see what Berwick does. If Berwick dominates that game, look out, because then they've kind of seen pretty much all of it. We'll see.
Yeah, and on the other side, I like Avonworth. Anybody like?
Oh, love Avonworth. They're an amazing team.
I fully expect them to see them in Cumberland Valley.
I do too.
Wow.
So let's switch it over to 6A, folks. This is the last one, the last thing we have to deal with tonight and talk about. Welcome to the party, all of you big animals who've been sitting around sleeping all for the last 2 weeks. Central York, Cedar Cliff, Wilson, and York High, Harrisburg, Central Dauphin, Manheim Township, Penfield. Of all those games, I think the most intriguing game there would be Manheim and Hempfield.
Yeah, it's been a couple years since Township has been dominant. You know, they had that nice graduating class with Hayden Johnson, who had a great game at Lehigh a couple weeks ago, by the way. He's doing well at quarterback for Lehigh. But it's always good when the Blue Streaks are good. Yeah, it's a nice program, and when they get things rolling, it seems to roll pretty good. And when they run into Harrisburg, it's always a great matchup.
It is always a good matchup. Harrisburg Central Dauphin, 5-6 this year, not having a great year. I love Glenn McNamee. He's a great coach, but I just don't think this is a team. Harrisburg handled Central Dauphin very easily earlier in the year, and I think they do again this week. Wilson and York High. York High has some athletes. They just seem to never, I don't know what it is, Coach Stoner they can't get it together. Wilson, on the other hand, has a guy who goes by the moniker The Beard. And they got a saying, fear the beard. See, you can never count Wilson out. And Coach Dom's, the guy knows how to do it. And then down in Central York, Jerry Yonchuk, every year Central York is on a roll. And this year they're playing a Cedar Cliff team who wiped out Cedar Crest last week, 35-6. Again, Cedar Cliff 6-5, not a strong team. I think Central York escapes this one, and I think Wilson gets by York High. I think we see Central York and Wilson again. Harrisburg, Manheim Township, and who knows what's going to happen through all that. Down the bottom half of that bracket, let's call it the consolation bracket. Seriously, Dow, they got there by consolation. State College, consolation. Wilkes-Barre, whatever. Williamsport got Wilkes-Barre is 7-4, Hazleton 1-10. Williamsport played Scranton 6-5 versus 2-9. Somehow, we got the matchup we should 7-4 and 6-5. But it's the bottom half of the bracket: Central Catholic and Canon Mac, North Allegheny and Norwin. I think we're looking at a Central Catholic State College matchup, Matt.
Yeah, and I like that game. PCC kind of owns the Whitfield. North Allegheny looked like they were going to maybe give them a tough time this year, but North Allegheny has struggled this year. And then State College, they've done some things in 6A. They've given Harrisburg some trouble in the regular season games over the past 2 years. They do have some experience, even though they graduated 31 kids last year, which is amazing that that they can turn over that many kids and still be super competitive. So, and 9 of those players, by the way, just as a note, 9 of those 31 kids are playing some pretty high level college ball too. So pretty impressive that State College can have that much turnover. Would be awesome to see them play PCC. I saw PCC earlier in the year against LaSalle, and obviously LaSalle is LaSalle, but PCC has been getting better every week.
Yeah, it's a weird bracket. And then it's going to be one of those 2 teams playing Harrisburg. Over on the other side of the bracket, this is where the big boys are playing football right now. Easton and Liberty are playing this week. Parkland and Nazareth are playing this week. Nazareth, we had left for dead. And then you got LaSalle College. They're going to get a little rest. And they're going to play the winner of Imhotep Charter and Abraham Lincoln. Easton and Liberty is a surprising team this year, Matt.
Yeah, they were kind of young last year with Fontanez at quarterback, with Huxon at wide receiver. They played Freedom the last 2 weeks, which they won both of those games, the final game of the regular season and the first game of the playoffs. I think that Easton Liberty game is a nice matchup. I think Easton wins that game, but if Liberty won, I would not be surprised. Because those D11 teams, again, kind of like the D1 teams, just beat up on each other, and then they got to play District 12, right? So it's kind of a tough path after you beat up on each other all year long. Every single season, regular season game is a big matchup. and then your reward for that is to play District 12. So
Yeah, right. Parkland and Nazareth.
yeah, I mean, we had an interesting discussion at the rankings meeting, right? So St. Joe's Prep loses, and where do you put them? I like Parkland a lot with TJ Lawrence. I'm a big fan of Parkland. I think there's a kind of a separator there between Parkland and Easton. And so we put Prep in that number 5 spot behind Parkland. And I think it's deserved for Parkland to have that spot. Nazareth, tough story this year. They obviously are a super talented team, but you take the quarterback out of play there. They do have some weapons, but take the quarterback off of most teams. And it's a tough road, especially in that D11.
And then down on the bottom half of that bracket, LaSalle waiting in the wings for Imhotep and Lincoln. Willie, do either one of those teams have a chance at LaSalle?
Anything's possible, but I don't see much respect to Imhotep and Lincoln, but I think LaSalle is, especially having a week off to rest any nagging injuries they have. I think LaSalle easily wins District 12, but that's why they play the games.
It is why they play the game. And then finally, let's go down the bottom half of the brackets there. This is all Willie territory, man. Penn Ridge, Downingtown East, Coatesville, Council Rock South, North Penn, Sauterton, Owen J. Roberts, the Chamonix. North Penn looks pretty nice right now. Dick Beck's got him playing football.
Definitely huge. It's November. Dick Beck knows how to win. He's won, playing numerous games. Now he's facing another great coach this weekend, Ed Gallagher at Salaton. That should be a great matchup. Then on looking at the lower part of that, you talk about things that surprised you. How about the 14th seed, Owen J. Roberts, going into Kottmeyer Stadium and knocking off the 3rd seed downtown and defending District 1 champions, Downtown West, 10-7 in a game that came down to mere inches, and inches was the difference between Downtown West prevailing and them being home right now.
There's one person on our staff that wasn't surprised by this. Who would that be?
Of course, you've been high on OJ Roberts since day one.
I've been talking about OJR since day one, since we started our program, and here they are. That's why I make the big money.
How about
that? Going back to the top part of the bracket, I'll let Matt talk about the game that me and him had on Thursday night. That crazy game.
Yeah, again, it's District 1, and every game is awesome to go to, right? They just beat up on each other. So Downingtown East and Spring Ford, a rematch of a great regular season game that they had. First play of the game, Spring Ford takes off for an 80-yard touchdown and kicks 3 more field goals. They're up 16-7 with 8 minutes left. And then out of nowhere, here come the Cougars. Within 3 minutes, they score to get within, 2 points, and then they go ahead and win 20-16. They win with 6 seconds left. They run the ball from the 9-yard line. So obviously, if they didn't get in, game was over.
The game was over.
They get it across 20-16, Downingtown West, and awesome game in District 1. That's why I was there.
It certainly was. And to talk about having guts, Coach Michael Mallett showed tremendous guts in running in the ball with that situation. I can understand if they had a timeout left or something, but they had 0 timeouts left and they ran the ball. And like Matt said, if Springfield defense stops them, it's game over. We're not talking about Downtown East and Penn Ridge this week. We're talking downtown. We're talking Penn Ridge, Springfield.
But there's a game on this bracket I like. That's Council Rock South and Coatesville. We left Coatesville's another team that we kind of left for dead, but here they are.
Matt
playing.
Ortega Jr. is back, healthy.
Yeah. So that's that's the difference between them and maybe like a Nazareth, who they don't get their quarterback. But when Coachville was struggling, they lost their quarterback. And that's pretty tough. And they've got some other athletes down there. And then Penridge, I mean, Willie, like we've talked about them all year long. What is the story on Penridge, and where did this team come from? Because like for the last couple of years, they have been bottom of the barrel.
Exactly, and it's what the senior class coming through fruition. The couple, especially Noah Keaton. I remember a couple of years ago when he was a freshman. He was his very first game was against Downtown East, and Downtown East took it to Penridge pretty well. And now they're seniors. Now that group of seniors took their lumps in their sophomore, junior year, and now they're seniors and they're being the bully on the block. But here we go. You have the up and coming team that came out of nowhere, Penridge, versus a team that's a traditional power, Downtown East, and the two are going to collide Friday night, in which should be an outstanding football game. And I could easily see it being Downtown East coming out on the victorious side, mainly because of their running back Jules Robinson. He's as Matt can tell, he's a nice, dance, swifty little running back, undersized maybe, but he can move.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's summarize this bracket. Anybody out of the District 3 bracket, like Harrisburg, Manheim Township, I'm not going to call a winner out of that. Central York, Harrisburg's been good, but they haven't been destroying people all year, though they do have a healthy Mickens coming back. Central Catholic, we know they lost to LaSalle. So until somebody like Matt, honestly, Matt, do you think this might be the year one of these District 11 teams can get past the District 1 rep?
The District 12 rep?
Or the 12 rep? Yeah.
I've seen LaSalle 4 times, and we didn't even talk about the LaSalle prep game, which we should probably spend at least a minute on. Held at Villanova last week. And LaSalle finally got over the hump, right? They beat the prep in the playoffs. This is the first time in 10 years the prep's not going to be in a state final. They've won 7 out of the last 9. Quite a run. And for LaSalle to get over that hump, Brett Gordon got it done, man. I imagine you take that job at LaSalle to beat prep, right? And he deserves every accolade he gets for getting that job done, because many, many, many teams have not gotten that job done. So congrats to LaSalle for beating the prep. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Parkland. I'm also a huge fan of LaSalle. So I would love to see that game, Parkland and LaSalle. I would also like to see a rematch of Harrisburg PCC, because that was a great game last year. So it's the big boys, I think, in 6A again. Maybe State College sneaks in there. Maybe Easton shocks Parkland somehow if that game ends up happening. But 6A is real. You can't fake your way through that bracket.
Yeah, and it's you mentioned State College. It's hard to figure out because State College takes Harrisburg to double overtime. Harrisburg barely beats McDevitt. I mean, that was a close game. And then McDevitt needs all 4 quarters to get by State College. I mean, McDevitt's fine. So it's really hard to judge what's happening there. So yeah, you can't leave State College out of that battle. I mean, it could be State College against Central Catholic. I mean, we just don't know. And then it's so hard to judge what Central Catholic has out there, because let's face it, the Whitfield League is weak, and they faced a very inexperienced Pine Richland team who I think if they played each other today, the outcome of that game would be completely different.
I saw PCC very earlier in the season this year, so it's like I said. I think Coach Lehmeyer is growing that team week to week, mainly because he's got a new quarterback, so it takes some time to navigate the Whitfield and kind of navigate that class of schedule. But they're loaded. Don't make any mistake. Like Roman Thompson's a great running back and linebacker, and the line is massive. Those were the guys we were talking about before the season with Matt Bowers, Jimmy Callis. And I think Coach Lehmeyer said it. It's tradition at PCC. Like those are programs. Those are not flash in the pan. We're good for a year. Like there's a reason he's the head coach, and that's to build the program and to win state titles. And that's it.
That's it. Maintain the program. That's what you get hired there for, to maintain the program, not build it. It's already built. You just got to maintain it. It's just like the St. Joe's Prep Club. You've got to maintain that program. That's what they do. So, hey, we made it. We got through all 6 classifications. Great job, everybody. I'm just going to say this right now. I'll close it out with this. If you cannot make it to a game, we will have the entire list of NFHS broadcasts on our website. You just go to the page that has the brackets all over it, Playoff Central. Everything is there that you need. Game times, matchups, locations, and where you can watch them online on NFHS. But if you can make it to a game, get out to a game. Enjoy a playoff game, because playoff atmosphere is a little bit different right now. It's a little bit different. For Matt, Willie, and Jared, I'm Billy Splain, the owner of PA Football News. Go football. We got a lot more football to go this year. Enjoy your game on the sidelines. We'll see you sometime in
At PAFootballNews.com, we've got you covered. If you're looking for the best coverage of high school football in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, check out PAFootballNews.com. From schedules to rankings, game coverage to Friday night scoreboard, live streams, and more, PA Football News is the one-stop shop for everything high school football in Pennsylvania. Follow us on Twitter at PA Football News and visit us at PAFootballNews.com. We got you covered.